The earth is not eternal, but we'll discuss that in a few minutes. Happy Spiritual Sunday to you all, and welcome back to another opportunity to elevate our consciousness, to change the way we live, to change the way we think about life, to change our experience in life. Because as we'll discuss today, and we often speak about, we are meant to live a life that's completely blissed out, happy, joyous, peaceful, prosperous, healthy, etc. We are meant to. But, as we're about to affirm, ultimately everything comes down to our own actions. Every action we do operates and activates the laws of cause and effect and brings back to us exactly the same thing that we put out there. And therefore, what we're learning in the Kabbalah Center, what we're learning here on Spiritual Sunday, is a shift of consciousness, a way of looking at ourselves, the world, the purpose of life, on a deeper, more spiritual, metaphysical, true understanding that allows us to operate differently and thereby make our lives better. And so, let's start today. I found this, which some of the verbiage exactly fits what we're going to be speaking about. So for those of you unfamiliar, this is from Karen Berg Simple Light. And Karen writes like this: we all judge, but passing judgment in our present state, meaning the present state of consciousness, with all the veils that are covering us, prevents us from genuinely helping others. If a person is talking to me, but I don't really listen because I think I already know where they're coming from, then it is impossible for me to help. I have already acted as judge and jury. So we must step outside of ourselves, our opinions, and the veils that cover us before we can really understand another person and offer our help. And this is why, as we do every week, we have our affirmation to help us shift our consciousness into a higher, more Kabbalistically spiritual consciousness, technology of the soul. So we say it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. And so, as I said in the beginning, let's just start with a simple concept. The earth and this universe is not eternal. It will not exist forever. We came here with a mission. We came here with a goal. We came here for one purpose. And yes, it is one purpose. I don't care your background, what you've been taught, etc., etc. There is only one person for all, one purpose for all humanity. Because there was originally only one being that came out of the endless world. That then, as we often speak about, divided into Adam and Eve, and then divided and divided and divided into the billions of people on the planet today. But this is eternal. We are all eternally on a one soul internet. And that one soul has one operating system, which is what the Zohar and the Kabbalists, the true Kabbalists, teach us. It's every human being, because there's only one technology of the soul. How we all express it, how we make use of that technology and our soul's power, meanwhile, is individual. It's up to us, as we're going to discuss. But understand, we all made an eternal vow in unity as that one being when we left the endless world. And what was that vow? That we would ultimately imitate the Creator, or as we might call it, the emanator of light, 24/7, meaning to shine our soul's light out to the world unconditionally. Unconditionally. That's our purpose, that's our goal, and we're about to understand that the deadline to make that happen is coming soon. But it's essential to keep in mind this is an eternal promise. It's a vow we all made that cannot be changed. So, yes, timeline. Why do I want you to understand this? Today's Spiritual Sunday is not about awakening fear or like traditional religion. Hellfire and damnation, oh, God's going to punish. We talked about some of that last week. God doesn't punish, God doesn't reward. There's just infinite light shining 24/7. And so my purpose and my goal today, my intention, is that each one of us will wake up inside of us with a greater sense of urgency to achieve our goal, to achieve our mission, because the goal of acting like the Creator or shining light 24/7 is to have eternal bliss. How many people on earth, if you could ask them, how many people you think say, no, they don't want eternal bliss? They love their pain, suffering, and all the chaos. Nobody. And that's kind of the paradox. Most of us live, as the Rav and Karen always used to call it, hugging our chaos. For all the right reasons. Our ultimate goal is to have heaven on earth. Live in peace. And now let's talk about the timeline. That we will have that greater sense of urgency, focus, or as Michael Berg just spoke yesterday, light the fire under us, awaken the fire within us to move faster. So here's the timeline. We know the Zohar teaches us, the Kabbalists teach us, that the 5 books of Moses is a code book. Yes, people existed. Yes, those things did happen. But the bigger, more important aspect is that the Zohar's unlocking the code, giving us the technology that was being used for all the miraculous things, etc., that we can use that same technology today. The true laws of the universe are eternal, or operate until the end of time, which we'll talk about here in a second. But they're universal. Every one of us live under them. Every one of us if we could look at even our religions or spiritual teachings, so to speak, that you've learned up to now or before the center, also sort of in a coded way. All the great sages of whatever your religion truly taught or meant to teach, if you will, what we learn here in the center. Over the years, things got altered in various ways. So the Bible is a code, and very simply, it says in this code called the 5 books, God created the universe in 7 days. 6 days doing the work of creation, and the 7th day, as it says, God rested from the work. What the Kabbalists teach us is essentially those 6 days correspond to the time that you and I have to achieve our mission. Unconditional love, shining light 24/7, regardless of what anybody else says or does or how they're acting. That's our mission. Because as we let all of our soul's light shine 24/7, shining out of us, we will experience complete, absolute, total fulfillment, clarity, blessings, serenity, harmony, all the good things we all actually want, that we're meant to have. And then we have those 6 days, and then we'll rest in heaven on earth for 1 day. The Kabbalists have taught us that the code of the 6 days and the 1 day, each day corresponds in our present terms of understanding to 1,000 years. So that means that there are 6,000 years that we have to achieve our goal, our mission, our vow, our promise of just simply shining light, letting it flow through us, out of us, 24/7, unconditionally, love, kindness, generosity, compassion, tolerance, apology, gratitude, humility, etc. That's it. Now, some of you thinking, wow, 6,000 years. Okay. No. The count of these 6,000 years starts with what we would call the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. That was 0. That was, according to the Kabbalists, 5,786 years ago. So we are currently in the year 5786, which, if you take your calculator out, which I did, is 96.4% finished. There's barely more than 3% time illusion, this chaos that we're in, only 3%, just over 3% more to go. Maximally. And that's a very important point. It doesn't have to take to the end of 6,000, to the 6,000th year. No. You and I, by what the Kabbalists teach, what we learn in the Kabbalah Center, because of the lineage we have. Currently, Michael and Monica Berg, Rav and Karen Berg. The Rav learned from Rabbi Brandwein, who learned from Rabbi Ashlag, who learned from his teacher all the way back through Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, or the transcriber of the Zohar, all the way back to Moses on Mount Sinai, all the way back to the origin of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. That's why we're open to every person on earth. Anybody wants to learn, there are no limitations, there are no exclusions. Anyone who truly wants to learn is welcome to come learn and help us accelerate the end of chaos, pain, suffering, and death. But I want to keep in mind the year 6,000 is fixed and set. There's no what if it doesn't, etc., etc. And that's the point we want to understand. 6,000 years, so we have, technically you want to call it 214 years, but I want you to think in the terms of 96.4% of the way. That we're almost there. Many of us can already feel, almost taste, touch the entrance to the Garden of Eden. And that minimal 1,000 years of peace, harmony, unity among all humanity. And the mission of the center is to finish that tikkun process even this year. The spiritual work, just to remind you why we're here and what we have to achieve. And this is think of all the people out there who don't learn what we learn here. They don't know. They could be kind, wonderful people, but if they don't understand the purpose of life and the technology of the soul, then they can't achieve it. And that's the sad part. People living in all kinds of chaos and pain and suffering because they don't know how to remove the darkness from their life. They don't understand why we've gotten here, why we came, how we set this up, and what the spiritual technology is. So, quick reminder, the spiritual work is to first start, we are a vessel of the light of the Creator. Our soul is a container. It is already filled, as is the universe, with 100% light. The Creator that we're here to imitate just shines light 24/7. That's it. So the universe is filled with light, all the blessings we could ever imagine. We are filled with all the light that is the resource, is the material that as we let it shine out from us, will bring us peace, harmony, prosperity, health, protection, all the wonderful things that we are meant to have. But we also have in our head, every human being, we have two voices. We have the voice of our true, pure soul, and we set up an AI program, an opponent that's taunting us in logical, almost justifiable ways to not shine our light out, but to try and get from the outside. That's free will. The free will is not really founded out there. It's founded here in our head, between the two voices. The free will is listening to the voice of our soul that says, yes, shine light into the darkness. Shine light on a greater level than you just did. There's the voice of the opponent that says, no. You're missing something, try and get it from the outside. That's our choice. But the choice we make determines the actions we do, and that determines our destiny. That determines what happens to us next. Every negative action we do, what we call reactive, just adds a cover, a veil over our soul that thereby, like any in the physical world, you have a lamp on your desk and you cover it with a piece of cloth. It doesn't stop the light bulb from shining, but it stops it from being revealed in your room or whatever space that is. So the same, every negative action that we do puts a veil, a curtain, a cover over our soul that darkens the light, so to speak, darkens the person's world, perspective, and therefore adds pain, suffering, chaos. Our work is to remove those covers. Our work is not to create perfection. Perfection already exists because the Creator shines light 24/7, which is perfection. Our job is to take away the covers that have been hiding perfection and allow the light from our soul to shine out into the world and take away our darkness and all the chaos and give us true guidance. You listen to the voice of your soul in your head, it's going to tell you how to share. Yes, it has to be uncomfortable sharing. Why? Because it has to transform your anger, fear, greed, jealousy, guilt, shame into blessings. Peace, love, prosperity, protection, kindness, etc. So, what we teach is as you listen to your voice of your soul and not your opponent, and you're doing those actions, greater light, greater blessings. But a trap of that AI program, and we've programmed it very well, we are designed and we have the capability to overcome it. We just put it there to make us or give us an opportunity to make an effort to transform our chaos to order, our darkness to light, our curses to blessings, so we would truly experience the manifestation of all of our blessings, but also have greater appreciation and a true sense of fulfillment because we made an effort to manifest those blessings. So I encourage you, do not argue, because the voice in your head of your opponent sounds just like your voice. Like the old little cartoons, the angel on one side and the devil on the other side, so to speak. So you have, if you'll stop and listen for a moment, you have that battle. Do the reactive thing or do the proactive thing. Don't wrestle with it. Because in essence, if you try and wrestle with your opponent's voice, wrestling means you're embracing it and therefore holding on to the chaos, the pain, and the suffering. Our job, like you do in a physical world, you walk in your house at night, there's darkness in the room, you don't argue with the darkness, you don't fight with the darkness, you don't try and just tell the darkness to go away, you do the action of turning on the light in the room, and then when the light is activated, the light in and of itself takes away the darkness. So too, when we shine light, which is in our free will, we have to meditate, we have to hold the thought, shine the light out to this angry person, to this person who just said something I don't like, or the situation that looks chaotic and confusing, because it's spiritual darkness. When you consciously shine that extra light out there, darkness goes away, strength, clarity, guidance, power is awakened because your soul's light is shining out stronger, more and more of your 100%. So just turn on the light. Let's call it a deep secret that I'm about to share with you, because secret just means people don't grasp it. People aren't aware of it. Time, space, and motion is a construct of the physical material world. Time, space, and motion doesn't exist in the light. The light is infinite. Infinite. So there's no place for the light to move. There's no time for it to move, to be measuring its movement, and there's no space that it doesn't fulfill. So in the endless world, or even in this universe, beyond our five senses, what we call the 99%, there's no time, space, or motion. Closer we get to the year 6000, the deadline to remove all the illusion, all the divisiveness, all of the chaos, time, space, and motion are disappearing. Some of you have probably told your friends, oh, the weeks just go by like this. And then the opponent in the head comes at, well, because you're getting older. No, it's because we're getting closer to the end of chaos. Yes, I can hear your voice. Yeah, but look, Chaim, the chaos is getting worse and worse. We'll get there in a minute. But as my teacher, when I first started in the center in 1987, I remember the Rav talking back then. How can we see? How do we have any evidence that time, space, and motion is disappearing? So one of the Rav's favorite examples was, look at technology. And you think back, and this is again 1988, 89, the early 90s, the Rav would often talk about it. You go back 1,000 years. The scientific advancement, slow, yes there was. Newton came along, all these scientists, the Renaissance period and all of that. But if you sort of charted it, it's slow. Then when you get to, let's say, the mid-20th century, towards the later part, all of a sudden, takes off exponentially. And today, it's even more so. In fact, we often joke in the center, you go buy a brand new, the latest version of a cell phone. As you've bought it and you're walking out of the store, by the time you get to your car, it's already outdated. There's something else. Things are moving that quickly, meaning in essence, time is disappearing. Think about when I grew up, some of you look back in the 50s, 60s, even 70s, there wasn't talk about global anything. Now, probably since the 90s, the early 2000s, for sure today, there's virtually nothing that's not global, meaning the world has shrunk so that everything affects everyone. You and I understand it. Yeah, spiritually, it's always been that way. Spiritual, one soul internet. So we've always interacted on a soul level and affecting everyone and being affected by everyone. But today it's obvious even on the outside. Email. In the early days, you put a letter, you can still do it. You put a letter in the mailbox or you put it to the post office. It's a day, 2, 5, whatever it is. It takes time to get there. Today, email instantaneous virtually. Travel. Used to be whatever, fast cars, trains, then the planes, things like that. Today, supersonic trains and planes and all of this. Everything's getting faster. We're getting closer to the end, and therefore, as time, space, and motion disappear, things are happening quicker. And even some of you have become more aware, as we call it, connecting the dots. Oh, suddenly I had this revelation. I'm connecting dots. Why? Think of it again. In simple terms, if the dots are spread out and the space is shrinking, then the dots are getting closer to each other, easier to see how the dots are connected. These are all signs that we are near the end, not the end of the universe as people want to say explosions and terrible disaster and this and this. No, the end of pain, suffering, and death. At the year 6000, or with our support, your support, with the work of the center, now 5786. We can do it. Everything is here. The only thing we have to do is exercise our free will, and reactive behavior is not exercising free will. When a person just has that knee-jerk response to what was said or done or what they watched on the news, etc., and out pops directly, unconsciously, anger, fear, jealousy, greed, judgment, etc., that's not free will. Free will really means using your light to the next level up, shining, like we affirm, greater love than you've done, greater compassion, greater generosity, greater tolerance, greater humility, greater appreciation. That's free will. Going against the voice of the AI opponent in your head and acting like your soul. That's free will. And that's why, for those who are familiar, without the pause that we teach from Kabbalah 1 forward, without that pause, no free will. It's just the same reactivity over and over and over again. And that's why the same challenges keep coming back to you and me and every person on earth again and again and again. Yes, the disguise, the costume looks different, but the same challenge. The button that we have, anger, jealousy, fear, guilt, shame, whatever the button is. Different people, different scenarios, different places, different parts of your life, but it's pushing the same button. Why? Because you didn't pause and shine more light. So, it keeps coming back and keeps coming back. Because remember our vow. Our vow for these 6,000 years is to remove the covers of the anger, the jealousy, the greed, all those things. Remove those covers. That's our purpose. That's the vow we made. That's the vow that there's no way to change that vow. There's no way to change the immutable laws of this universe. The beauty of what we learn in the center is understand the laws so we can use them more consciously. We can make a greater effort preemptively and proactively. Speed up the process. That's why the Kabbalists have told us, literally, the time we are in now, everything is available. All we have to do is use it to take away pain, suffering, and death. We're filled with the light. The universe is filled with the light. It's our free will. Our free will. Now, here comes another deep awareness. From our point of view, every day from the time of you and me as Adam and Eve, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these 5,786 years, from our point of view, the light of the Creator shining into this universe, from our point of view, is becoming more and more and more intense. Because we're closer to the year 6,000. So even if you want to look in that way, there's a concentration. If the light was covering a bigger space, and that space is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, in essence, that light is intensifying from our point of view. And as that light intensifies, as it's emanating from our point of view out of the cosmos more powerfully, that's why there is greater chaos in the world today than there was 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago. Greater chaos. Why? Because as the light is getting more intense, think, as the Rav and Karen used to call it, if people are hugging their chaos, meaning people are allowing those covers of all the negativity, the jealousy and the greed and the ego and what have you, if they're allowing themselves to be taunted, tempted, and motivated by the AI program that justifies, well, that person did that nasty thing. You can't forgive them for that. Don't forgive them for that. Or even more subtle, probably more on the lines for you and me, because as you grow spiritually, it's more subtle. So yeah, maybe some of you go, of course, they did a terrible thing. I was hurt for so many years, but since I'm learning Kabbalah, I'm willing to forgive them. All they have to do is apologize. So it's still hugging the chaos, holding on to the cover that's blocking your light from shining out, that's keeping you in the same chaos, pain, suffering, the same stress, anxiety. So think about it. If a person is holding on to that blockage and the light is getting more and more intense, there's greater pressure on that cover. And therefore, the person is experiencing greater stress and anxiety, which will manifest in all the various types of negativity. That's why the Zohar says the time we are in now, which is more obvious than ever, it's either tremendously concentrated darkness or tremendously concentrated light. There's no more gray area. It's moved out for at least the last 20, 30 years. But, as Karen Berg always said, reminded us, we say it, the darkest of night just before the dawn. So when your AI program is telling you, oh no, Chaim thinks we're so close, and the Kabbalah is saying we're so close, but look at all the chaos. Yes, that's a sign that we are close and getting closer, because the light is becoming more intense and pushing on every one of us to open up and remove the covers. Because as the light's getting more intense, if we're removing the covers by that uncomfortable transformational sharing of light, greater generosity, humility, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, apology, gratitude, the light flows then through us and out of us into our lives much more intensely. And therefore, there's a greater experience of blessings, health, peace, prosperity, joy, harmony, protection, love, kindness. That's what's going on. Those who are holding on to their blockages, holding on to their curtains, more intensity of stress and anxiety, which of course is going to come out as like a volcano, anger, jealousy, greed, argument, whatever. Those of us who are breaking down our curtains, breaking those covers, or as we often call it, removing the spiritual mud, yes, there's still challenges till we get to 100%, but we already have a greater sense of peace and harmony and joy and prosperity. We're appreciating life more. We're appreciating the blessings of the light in our life more. We're seeing, like we say, the first part, I raise my consciousness to see the miracles and wonders of life, to see the miracles already happening in my life, to appreciate the wonders and the blessings I already have in my life, and then act with greater love and kindness and compassion. Yes. So the Zohar explains to us, we said, the closer we're at the end, the more it's concentrated darkness, concentrated light. But if you keep in mind that the light is already infinite in this universe, then as the Zohar says very simply, the solution always comes before the problem, because the light is infinite and the light is the solution. So no matter what problem, what chaos a person or the world is experiencing, the solution already exists. And this is why every spiritual Sunday, I remind you, the Zohar is our ultimate solution to bring the end of pain, suffering, and death with mercy. The brighter the light, which is all these books do, they shine light. Yes, they contain amazing, powerful, deep technology of the soul, explanations of creation, the Big Bang, what we're doing here, how things operate, etc. But the most valuable part, they shine the light of the endless world, and that light takes away darkness and purifies our consciousness. So I wanted to share with you, I'll try and get it there, but okay, if you can't read it, I'm going to read it to you, but just that you'll see it. My favorite verse in all of the Zohar. But the wise shall understand, since they are from the side of Binah, which is the tree of life. Tree of life meaning the pure light. For them it is said, and they who are wise will shine like the brightness of the firmament, with your composition of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is the book of the Zohar. From the light of the upper world, supernal ima, called repentance. And as we've talked about here and there, repentance means repairing all of our chaos. So the Zohar shines the light, and we know light will take away any form of darkness. That's the idea. The book shines light. They do not require a test, and because Israel, which doesn't mean any religion or country or whatever, means those who are living mind over matter, those who are living the teachings of the Zohar as we're teaching it, to fight the opponent in your head, that negative opposing voice of getting, and taking, and listening to the voice of the light in your head, your true soul. Because they do not require a test, and because Israel in the future will taste of the tree of life, which is this book of the Zohar, they will leave the exile, chaos, pain, and suffering with mercy. It will hold true about them. So the light, Hashem, did lead them, and there was no strange God with them. Again, my friends, don't allow your opponent just to make you dismiss it. Come on, it's a book. I mean, again, logic tells us, a book? What book is going to change the world? No. Many of you have already had miracles, and I would love for you to keep writing me more and more of your miracles with the Zohar. It shines light. I mean, what's a light bulb? The old style, piece of glass with wires in it, etc., and it's hooked up to some electricity. That's it. Oh, and that can take away your darkness? A light bulb? or LED or whatever they've got now? Come on. Yes, because our opponent has trained us, brainwashed us to believe a book means you have to open it, you have to understand it, it's got to be in your language, and it's got to be in a way that you can understand what's in there to have any benefit. No. In this case, because it's in Aramaic, and as we are going to meditate as we do every week, the Hebrew Aramaic letters just shine the light of the Creator, plain and simple. And so, why do we create the pocket one? So it's easy to carry. Pocket, purse, briefcase, backpack, etc. So you are always surrounded in the light. And the faster we spread this around, imagine 1 billion light bulbs called books of the Zohar, taking away the darkness that covers the earth now. When the light is the majority in the cosmos, everybody will see with their own eyes the truth. Cause and effect. Everything they've ever done came back to them. Wasn't because of the other person. It was up to them. So, to remind you, and that's why it says, as we read, mercy, meaning it wakes us up, it will help push us from inside in a merciful way, push us to say, yes, I know I was holding something against that person. I am now going to shine light on them. First and foremost, because I want more light shining out of me and I want more blessings. But also, I want to awaken their soul so that they'll have an awakening when there's enough light awakened inside them that they will stop that negative behavior. Because it's hurting them and other people. And because we're on a one soul internet, it's hurting all of us. So here's something that may sound almost contradictory, but let's start by understanding the foundation. The creator, or let's call it the emanator of light, has no free will. It shines 24/7. That's all it does. It doesn't have the ability to not shine light. Not that that's something negative or limiting. No, that's its inherent nature, like a light bulb. A light bulb has no free will, so to speak. It has nothing, no other activity than shining light. Period. So if we're here to imitate the Creator, then our job is also to shine light 24/7, which means, meanwhile we have the choice, listen to the voice of the opponent, which isn't good, doesn't bring anything but instant gratification and then problems, more problems, or we can listen to the voice of our soul that wants us to remove the covers, yes, uncomfortable sharing, but then long-term fulfillment, lasting fulfillment. So I am encouraging you, as Moses, Rabbi Shimon, all the great Kabbalistic masters did. They used their free will to give up their free will. Meaning, we all have a choice. Listen to one of those voices or the other. No, we want to say, I don't want free will. I want to only listen to the voice of my soul and only act like the voice of my soul. Which means, think of places right now in your life that spiritually are dark. The person you resent, the place you have guilt, the amount of jealousy or judgment or envy or anger or impatience or insensitivity that you may have. It, to people in your life or just things going on in the world. Think, because that awareness, being able to identify that, there's your opportunity. There's your darkness that's hiding your light and your blessing. So at business, when you're saying that you're confused, you don't know what to do with your business and how to gain more prosperity or whatever, but over here, you're blocking your light because you're angry at the world and you're angry at that person and you're still holding resentment towards somebody from 5 or 10 or 20 years ago. Darkness is darkness. How are you going to see the answer at work if you're not shining more light? Because the answer is not at work. The answer is inside you. The answer for a relationship is not at them. It's inside you. We all carry 100% light, which is all the blessings we ever need. Only let it shine out by removing the cover. And then the light shines. Our peace of heaven on earth, your peace of heaven on earth, 96.4%. Imagine somebody running whatever, a marathon. Yes, okay, they pace themselves. But if they see, the moment they can see whatever, 100 meters, a half a mile even, the goal line, the finish line, suddenly there's a doubling of the effort, getting the second win and running faster. They don't say, oh, they're so close to the end, slow down. No, faster, because now they're excited. They're motivated because they see the finish line. I'm encouraging you, see, we are so close, the darkest of night just before the dawn. See the finish line. Run, double your efforts. See with the eyes of your heart. Your piece of heaven on earth, the entrance to your piece of the Garden of Eden. Double your efforts. Scan more Zohar, share more Zohar, support the Zohar project to help us spread these faster. And do the actions of manifesting your soul's light, your total potential, your 100% blessings, so that you live and you act with greater love, kindness, and compassion towards all people, and you wake up thereby not only more of your soul, more blessing, but you're waking up the souls of all humanity to join you and me now in the Garden of Eden, that we can live together forever. Peace, love, unity, bliss, the way it was meant to be. God bless. Okay, so hopefully I pray that many of you had a real awakening of the soul, and therefore listening to the voice of your soul to contribute. Again, cause and effect. If you use your money, which is a manifestation of your time, talents, abilities, etc., the light of the Creator that's been given into your hands to shine into the world, if you're using those resources to spread the light of the Creator and activate the souls of people through the Zohar, those blessings have to come back to you exponentially. The greatest act of unconditional love, wake up the soul, the piece of the Creator inside each person. I can tell you how to behave. You can tell your friends how to behave. You can tell them what you think they should do. But how many times do they not listen to us? Ourselves included. But as you wake up the soul, when there's a strong enough awakening, then we can only do what our soul tells us to do. That's the power. And we're so close, see the end. Help us speed up the revelation of peace on earth. The revelation, the return, if you will, to that Garden of Eden, where everything is just nirvana, peace, harmony, and we could live in it for more than 1,200 years. Okay. Those of you who do give regularly, thank you. And again, giving means anything. You can give $1, $5, $10, $20, $1,000, $1 million, whatever you are able to do, but give. Because as you give, you're increasing the circulation of the light and the blessings in your life. So give with love and care for all humanity. Whatever it is, it will be blessed. So let's do our meditation. This is one of the 72 names of God, Mem Vav Mem. As we said today, we say every time, the Hebrew letters just shine light. They are primordial existence. We didn't create them. We don't empower them. They are primordial. They came with the Big Bang, manifestations in this world. And so eyes are the window of the soul. You let the energy flow through the Mem Vav Mem, in this case, spiritual cleansing, removing that spiritual mud, removing the mud, if you will, the influence of that voice of the opponent, the challenger in your head. Mem Vav Mem. So just look at it, let the shapes be engraved in your mind's eye, the names inside your heart and soul, Mem Vav Mem. Sitting comfortably in your seat, Hands on your lap, taking a few deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment, exhale through the mouth. Increasing the circulation of the light of the Creator, that is the power of breath. And that's why it's called the breath of life. Because it's not only keeping you physically existing, but increasing your spiritual existence. Breathing in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment, and exhale through the mouth, letting go of whatever tension, stress you may have been feeling up to now. Allowing the circulation of the light through you, through the breath, to relax to the warmth of unconditional love that is the infinite light that fills you and surrounds you. Feeling yourself more connected to that true eternal power of the light. Peace, serenity, harmony, joy. And in this calm, peaceful state, breathing normally, naturally, let's envision the Mem Vav Mem above our heads, shining the light of the Creator, the light of the endless. See the light emanating out of this name, the bright white light of ultimate peace and harmony. And now allow it to enter through the top of your head, radiating this light of spiritual cleansing, cleansing the thoughts, cleansing the vision, cleansing the emotions, cleansing the physical blockages that cause ailment, as you allow the Mem Vav Mem to flow from your head to your toes, removing more and more of the covers that have hidden your soul, that have blocked your blessings. That Mem Vav Mem, making it easier to hear the voice of your soul, to open the eyes of your heart, to see the light that exists not only in you completely, but also to see all that comes your way as a good opportunity and awareness to see where your darkness is, and now have greater strength to shine more light into that darkness, revealing light in your world from your point of view, and awakening the heart and soul of the Creator inside every person on earth. Together, let's beam a light from our heart and soul of the Mem Vav Mem out to the heart and soul of every person on earth. Sending it out through this one soul spiritual internet. Awakening hundreds of thousands of people around the world to do not the action they were about to do, the negative action, but the light that we're sending now shifts the balance of thought, the balance of the light, that the greater voice inside them is to share, forgive, to be kind, loving, grateful, tolerant to those people. And this light we're shining brings the rest of the world closer to that pivotal point that as we all shine light from this day forward to every person, pushing more and more of humanity to the side of the light. And the actions that will follow. Mem Vav Mem. Cleansing every human being from the spiritual mud of negativity. The power to remove the covers and the veils that have been hiding their true, lasting blessings. And listening to the voice of your soul, Mem Vav Mem, committing yourself to accelerate the actions of transformational sharing, to increase using the tools, Zohar, 72 names, Ana B'Koach, to intensify this beam of light that you're sending out, that we're sending together out into the world. With the commitment, the craving and the desire to reach the entrance to the Garden of Eden. Now, accelerating, that we can see the removal of all the darkness, the divisiveness, and bringing peace, love, and unity to the world. Mem Vav Mem. Listen to that voice of your soul as it's speaking to you, focusing your desire to only hear the voice of your soul. And committing to listen and to do as your soul is guiding you. Feel the excitement as you become more and more aware how close the entrance to the Garden of Eden is for you. And already feel the excitement of entering into that garden, that heaven on earth. And together we take one more deep breath, anchoring in this awareness, this commitment, this light. And slowly exhale and open your eyes. Thank you for joining us today. Please share this lesson, this video with your friends. Throw it out there on social media. Let it bring a spiritual cleansing so that as people are watching it, their heart and soul is awoken, their consciousness is elevated, and their soul has greater influence on them, day by day, moving forward. God bless. See you next time.